I'll just
Hey, that's good.
Hey Ryan, this is George. You coming to the
sad piece of
coming to the
paper.
HCC meeting?
How are you?
Same.
Yeah. It's tight. Yep. I just didn't know if I was waiting for it.
I have some
Are you
questions.
gonna help me?
Well, I'm hoping you can help me.
Go ahead and go to that and I'll
I
fill
want
in
to
on what you
understand,
want.
so I've had some questions.
Okay.
And I don't want to give people answers without understanding the process.
Yeah, no, you bet.
Okay,
And it's about inspections
All right.
and codes and ordinances
Right.
and
Oh, happy to.
that stuff. I'd rather not, you
Richard
know,
Butts, you get the
throw
prize.
someone under the bus
Pardon?
on social
I
media
said Richard
or
Butts,
something
you
crazy.
get the prize.
Yeah.
I do.
I just want to go straight to the source.
You betcha.
That's where he is.
And mostly so I understand the process.
I figured that.
That,
Yep.
fair enough.
Yeah.
I wish everybody did.
Katie invited me to go there, but
Well, yeah.
this is
What a
the one
concept, huh?
Exactly. Just,
Let me
you
know
know,
when
like
you're ready,
actually
Barb.
talk to somebody and say, how do you do this?
I need to get your email because I have some pictures for you because I don't know if you're going to be incorporating anything into the presentation for next month.
So my understanding is that the presentation will not be happening next month.
Oh, okay.
So George and Jerry spoke after the last meeting,
Well, that's kind of stuff.
and
So you just get
there was
credit
some
for it or
discussion and
something?
Yeah, we give
decisions
credit back,
made
but then we
that
have to do
we'll
some
wait
problem
until the new
resolution.
council.
Ooh, boy, start the meeting at 6:05. Start out with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Don't sit down on your chair because it's fun. Yeah. All right, roll call, please.
Here.
Here.
Yes.
here.
Here.
I did it here. You can have mine when we're done. Okay.
Oh, maybe I stole it. I did.
Um,
Sorry. I have one here. Oh, your little.
Approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Agreed.
Support by moved by Putz, support by Edwards to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Now, the approval of the minutes of September 20th.
There it is.
Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions?
None that I see.
None appearing, the chair would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes.
Is there support?
I'll support.
Motion by Edwards, support by Putz to approve the minutes of September 20th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now, before I go into the statement of purpose, let me just, you know, the fact that we're on film so that the public can see us, Terry Connell monitors this stuff at home, and he just told me to fix my microphone via a text message. Terry is always on the job.
I guess.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so before I go to the statement of purpose, I want to touch base on those minutes that we just approved. You'll notice the very last part of it, and now he just said thank you. So the last two things under commission staff and comments, Joe Mishler's knowledge and dedication will be missed, and it says above that I would be bringing the letter. Here is his resignation letter, so I will submit that. It is by Robert's Rules of Order that we have a motion to accept it. So I will make that motion. Is there support?
I'll make a motion. What do I say?
You can make the motion,
Okay.
or you could just say support. I made the
Support.
motion. Support. Okay. So it
I need
is.
a class on this stuff.
I'm sorry.
So I need a class on this stuff.
It's
They just
okay.
tell you to read the book.
Yeah.
They don't have a class.
So it is moved and seconded to accept the resignation of Joe Mishler. All in favor
Aye.
Aye.
and opposed? It is a formality, but I will tell you that it happened one time that the village council refused a resignation letter. It was the letter of Sandra Clevin, and they actually had to turn to the attorney to move forward. So typically
Well,
it's
that
just
would have been fun.
typically it just gets entered into the record, and it has to be done formally. So I wanted to take care of that because it said we would do it at the next meeting. And now we did, so that's done. Statement of purpose. The mission of the Holly Historic District Commission is to safeguard the heritage of the village of Holly by preserving the historic districts in the village that reflect elements of the village's history, architecture, archaeology, engineering, or culture. The goal of the Commission's work is to stabilize and improve property values in the historic district and the surrounding areas, to foster civic beauty, strengthen the local economy, and promote the use of the historic districts for the education, pleasure, and welfare of the citizens of Holly. That being completed, public comment. We have nobody in the audience.
Anything from you, Terry?
She's distracted.
We will move on to old business, which is the HDC district boundaries. I've had a conversation with both the village president and the village manager, and it was agreed that we will wait to make our presentation until after the election. So it gives us a little more time to work on it, and we can move forward on that. Was there any other discussion that we need to have?
Just a quick question. I have taken some pictures for that, and maybe I'll send them to the two of you to review. I think I have what are classified as, historical, not historical, and some that some people may think are historical. So I thought that'd be good to show the new council and a good review for us.
To talk about the difference and explain. I did want to touch base on, in part, on the Secretary of the Interior and how the historic district works and its purpose. So I will be reaching out. I had sent an email to Amy.
Amy.
We do this all the time. There's
We do.
Ellen and Amy.
Right.
And to see if they had any presentation material for that purpose. So we'll work on that as we go
Perfect.
forward.
That sounds great.
Okay? Anybody else have anything
Here's my email.
to add?
Oh, thank you.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
Number 2 of old business is the preservation on the redevelopment ready community. It's my understanding Steve McGee will be taking that.
Well, Katie is much smarter than I am, but
Move into that microphone. Or move
Katie
it to
is a
you.
lot smarter than I am on this. But she did give it to me. She's in another meeting. And so I'll give you the highlights, and I'm sure she'll do much better next month or the next time we have a meeting.
Steve, that microphone turns. Turn it toward. Pull it in. There you go.
Are you sure you can't hear me?
No.
Maybe
I'm just going by the
slow.
technical director here.
Oh, he can't. Thanks, Jerry. So basically, what this is it's a program designed. It's a free program, no cost. Redevelopment communities, and any community can be involved. The primary goal is everything you read on here in the bullet points, and Katie was going to go through that, but again, she's tied up in another meeting. But the last line really says it all: retains and attracts business investment and talent. It's no cost technical assistance, and it is a statewide certification program. And it really is. What a community needs is transparency, to be predictable and efficient, and for the daily use. So that's what this program is about. It's a seal of approval. It's not easy to get, but very worthwhile. It streamlines processes. There is technical assistant match funding. So there is some dollars if we decide to spend money. But again, I hate to go way out in the rough when Katie spent so many hours on this. So this bullet point kind of question and answer sheet really at this point is just intended to give you a heads up that she's working on that, and will do a better presentation than I am.
Well, I spoke to her just before the meeting, and she asked, when we looked at it, if we could make a recommendation to the council of support. And I want to read to you one portion of this. The MEDC will promote up to 3 of your community's available redevelopment sites upon certification. We assist in the development of the site, marketing materials, and we bring them to conferences and events both in Michigan and across the country. This is a chance to promote your redevelopment opportunities to developers that have never completed a project in your community. It goes on to say that technical assistance match funding is flexible as long as the project helps move your community closer to certification. Packaging of the redevelopment ready sites, marketing strategies, economic development strategies, form-based codes, zoning audits, and training are also examples of available assistance. So I'm a strong proponent of education whenever we have the opportunity. And I think this is a worthwhile project that we're working on. And I, for one, would support this. I think a letter of support from the HDC would be proper going forward.
We would agree.
So,
Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
Just to ask some questions. So is this something that the village is adapting, the DDA is pursuing? It's a certification by the state?
I believe that we spearhead it, and we ask for the council, we HDC.
Okay.
But again, I could be wrong.
It is the village because it's the council that has to approve it.
Okay, so we're the recommend.
Yeah, and it's not in front of the DDA board, it's in front
Okay.
of the council.
So is the same thing going in front of like the planning commission for support, or?
I don't know at what stage she's at with this.
Okay,
That would be a question that Katie could answer.
okay. So it's a certification that Katie is pursuing,
Yep,
and she's requesting our support.
yep.
That is correct.
And ask Katie for more questions,
Yes.
specifically about the program and the benefits.
Mhm.
Okay,
She just happened to catch me outside as I was coming in the meeting real quick on her way to the other meeting,
mm-hmm.
and said it was here, that Steve was going to do it, and she said, you know, if we could get a letter of support, that would be great.
Okay.
I'm sorry. What does Katie represent? I'm sorry.
Katie's the director of the DDA and the assistant village manager.
Okay.
And so I can read a couple notes that Katie has. It supports the growth of a vibrant, diverse, and resilient community across Michigan. They help the tough projects become a reality, build a foundation, not just incentives. MEDC and MSHDA co-bought the program. They rolled this out in 2013 statewide. RRC engaged communities. There are 243 at this point. Local independent business, and it's a place-based entrepreneurship, is proactive about sites, like George just said, lots of money put into marketing, websites, cross-marketing, development events, updated info, and then you can look in the best practices, which we read some of, living, changing, evolving, document, and then she has website resources. After submitting a self-evaluation, you start working on the low-hanging fruit. You work towards completing the things that we said no about at the beginning, and we've gone through the checklist, the village manager and Katie and I and Jeremy Watson, to see where we are at this point. And she told us we can say no. They told us if you don't have something completed, that's what we can work. That's our goals. Capital improvement plan, public participation policy. You get extra points for communities that are, MSHDA gives extra points for communities that are engaged in this, up to $20,000, 50-50 match. They can go towards the master plan, which is a big event that we're going into next year. So that would help a lot. This can go website improvements, marketing, branding, public places, community spaces. It can take between 6 months to 3 years to become certified. Need complete buy-in from all boards and commissions. If we want to use matching funds for a master plan, we can either use their planners on their approved list, or we can use our own, which is Row at this point. And they must commit to using this redevelopment ready communities best practices. So that's a little better than I did my first time, but these are Katie's notes.
Katie's notes. What about the moving the depot? Would this support the effort for moving the depot?
I don't know that.
Okay.
Is there a list of other communities that?
There is, and we saw a map of Michigan in the cluster of how many. So there was that 243, and there's 3 levels. The lowest level are people that have done the form, and I don't know if we fall into that yet because we have filled it out. I think maybe after the council were to approve it, if this board or this commission does. So you've started the process, and then the other one is they're evaluating you, and then the highest level is that you are certified. And so in total, I think there are 243 in those 3 groups combined.
That are in one stage or another.
One stage or another. And the closest that around, as we looked at the map, Linden is in the process. I believe Fenton's in the process. I forget the closest one, but there's no one really close to us that we can say Grand Blanc or something is done. I believe Grand Blanc is in the process. So it's the right thing to do. But it's not easy, and Katie's already put a lot of hours into it.
So is the goal for redeveloping properties, and how does that play into the historic district and maintaining historic buildings?
I think all of it. I think to
Removal
keep
of
those
historic buildings.
I think to keep them all occupied, and then to get the right people in those buildings.
Okay.
So.
So this wouldn't conflict with the historic district commission?
Not at all.
Okay.
It would only enhance.
Okay. I just
Okay.
hear redevelopment, and some people might think, well, if they're redeveloping,
You're gonna
are
change,
they going
yeah.
to change? Are they going to take down some historic,
No.
buildings or important things in the area, or is this a additional way for us to maintain the historic character of our village?
I think the
And
latter. I
bring
think
it up to code.
it's to bring it. It's to spiff
Well, you
up
said
the
the
place.
Michigan State Historic
Commission
Preservation is involved.
is behind it.
Right, so.
Okay.
All right, then the chair entertains a motion that we issue a letter of support to the village council.
So
Thank you. It is moved by Richard Putz that we write a letter of support to the village council for the redevelopment ready community. Is there support?
What about more questions?
That comes after support.
Okay.
Support.
Dave Cooley for support. And now, any further discussion?
Does anybody else have any other questions that we should seek answers from Katie, or do we all feel good that we're have enough information provided to us that we can make a decision?
yeah, I think we should support it and then let Katie come back next meeting and give us a rundown on the whole thing.
Well, and I know that she'll be presenting this to the council, and but either way.
I'm familiar enough with the program that I'm willing to support it at this point.
So when will we present her the letter? Who's drafting the letter?
At the next, well, it'll come from the village office.
So who's drafting the letter? The village office is drafting the letter?
It
That we
might be
support it?
Barb, it might be Katie. When the letter is drafted, they usually typically have a uniform letter that goes with it.
So Katie's gonna write the letter that we're gonna provide to Katie for the
Well,
package?
between her and I, we'll get it done.
Okay. Just,
Yep.
asking the questions. I
I'll
don't
get
know
a
how it
copy of it.
happens.
I'll get a copy of it for all of the commissioners.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you, George.
Any other discussion? None appearing? Give me a roll call vote, please.
Edwards,
Yes.
Cooley,
Yes.
Shield, Butts,
Yes.
Kaney,
Yes.
Fellows.
And motion carries 5-0. Thank you. General business, we have none. I would like to make a motion to excuse Ryan Shield from the meeting as he is at the safety meeting for the police department crossing guards.
Mhm.
Support, please.
Support.
Second.
It is moved by Cullis, support by McCanny, that we excuse Ryan Shield. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, under commission and staff comments, I'll take the lead on that because I have two. One is, and I've mentioned this before, do we need a formal motion to get the Pledge of Allegiance added to our agenda?
I don't believe so.
Typically, we call the meeting to order. The next thing would be the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't know how it ever got off of here, but if we could just add it. I'd hate to miss it one night because I wasn't paying attention, or because I was paying attention and following this format. November 5th is the Sacred Spaces Special Places. It is the historic education. It's going to be held at All Saints Episcopal Church in Pontiac. It's a continuing education program through the Michigan Historic Preservation Network. There's a $25 fee that will be paid for by the village. It comes out of our educational fund, and I just wondered who would be available to attend. It's from 8:30 in the morning till 2:30 in the afternoon, and it includes lunch.
I sent an email to Katie that I couldn't go because
That you could not?
Yeah.
Okay, I
Because
just
I
wanted to
haven't-
get a last call because they need to do the registering.
What day is it?
It's a
November 5th.
Monday.
It's a Monday.
It's a Monday.
I'm a no.
I'll have to check. I might be able to pull it off.
Okay. Let me know when the next day or something. I'll let
Okay.
Katie know. If you can let me know by Monday.
Same thing. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll let you know.
All right, that'll work. We just need to know the information on that. Then the other thing I wanted to let everybody know about is Senate Bill 469 passed. That's the bill I went to Lansing and testified on regarding the historic district, the historic preservation tax credit. That bill would reinstate the popular program that offers a credit of up to 25% of rehabilitation expenses against your state income tax. That's a pre-approved plan that you have to, I'm backing up from the microphone. It's a pre-approved plan that you have to submit to the state to get approval on, but once the work is completed, there's a tax credit available. Part of that's a federal credit, part of it's state, but it totals 25%. And it had been taken away when Snyder first came into office as he was trying to redo the budget and get us balanced. And now that the state is doing better, they moved forward to reinstate that bill, and the Senate passed it. Senate Bill 469 passed. House Bill 5178 has been introduced to complete that process. So I just want to give you that information. That'll be going to committee, and we'll get a hearing, and we'll follow the progress on that as it goes along. Those are my comments. If we'll go down the line. Dave, do you have any comments?
No.
Mike?
I'm good.
I am good
Richard?
too.
And Nicole?
No more comments.
Okay, well, Mr. McGee?
Just one.
Chief McGee.
I don't know today what I am here, but just a fun fact. For years, the village manager and I have been working on, I want to alarm the downtown. I don't want to lose anything downtown if there's a fire. For the past, since I've been building official here, about 7 years, I guess now, anytime we remodel a downtown building, and I know that's not all the historic buildings in the village, but that's very important to us. And so we've made very sure that they're all compartmentalized and separated from one to the other. Back before I came, you could literally, in the basement and in the attics, look from almost one end of town to the other, north and south. So we've done a lot through the building department to compartmentalize that, top to bottom. So in anybody remodels, that's a requirement. So we're feeling better about that. The next step, and that's where we are now, is we met with Guardian Alarm. And Jerry and I think it's very important, as does all our staff, but he and I are taking the lead on this, that if there's about 75 apartments downtown in that stretch, and a lot of things happen, especially in old buildings, and we have to know about it. So there's no program like this, the one that we took to Guardian, and what that is we want to alarm those buildings. We want to have a detection system, so if somebody's has a washing machine or a careless cook or something in the basement of one of the businesses were to catch fire, we want to know about it quickly because we want to get there fast. So Guardian listened to our presentation and is so excited about it because we want the whole downtown to be alarmed. Something happens, it rings in Guardian or wherever it rings, or our dispatch center, and we get early notification, which is what's going to make a difference. And they're so excited that they've talked about contributing part of this fee to do it. Another part of that we would have to come up with, and maybe we could get grants, and I said, I know a guy that knows how to get grants. I've seen him do it. So I think because of the historic relevance and the importance of our downtown and many downtowns around the country, Guardian sees this as a way to, I'm sure, get a lot more business. And they want to, I think they really want to beta test us, which is only good for us. So all that being said, we have a meeting set up on in the end of October on Tuesday the 30th, and we're meeting with a whole bunch of their people downtown, and our thought is to visit. Jerry has got permission from various types of buildings. That's why we waited to Tuesday to make sure they were open, so we could go in and go basement to upstairs and look at everything, so they got an idea of what we are dealing with here and what they could expect in other communities around the country, especially in Michigan. So we're excited about that. I don't know what the cost is, but I think it's going to be significantly cheaper than anywhere else because this is a neat thing. And you can Google it, you can do anything. It's not out there. And we've been working on this for a while, and the time is right now that we've got everything separated. We could have done it a little bit before, but we've just been so busy. But this to both he and I is very important, and we want to push ahead as much as we can to get our town. It's not a sprinkler system, but the quicker we know, the quicker we can get one of the fire guys.
Sure. No, I think it's a great idea. If it's possible and you could include me in that meeting, I'd love to be present.
That would be great.
One question I do have to ask, which is a little bit specific, when you talk about the buildings downtown and the compartmentalizing, has that been done to the building that is between the coffee shop and where the
Jewels.
what?
No, I don't. If it's Jewel, no, I don't believe so, because that one's been vacant. So.
Well, I know they've had problems with the floor and the roof, and that.
They have.
Did we ever? Does that?
And we can't. Really, the only time we have any, and I won't say power because that's not the right word. The only time we can influence
When we have an
behavior
opportunity.
is when we have the opportunity because somebody is redoing it. We can't just go in there and say, "Hey, you got to do this." But if somebody wants to remodel, change the use, add an apartment, change something, that's our mission then is to make sure it's separated.
Sure. No, I know many of those have been done. I've been up and seen the work
They have.
that people have done, and it's a good look for downtown.
It is, and we want it to be a good look for 100 more years or a lot more than that. So
Sure.
it's really important to us that we keep that.
I got a question. On the upstairs apartments and where they have gas lines in it, natural gas, is there an alarm system that
There is not.
there is not? Okay.
No. The good thing is we have a rental inspection. We have an ordinance that requires rental inspections once every 2 years, And so those are, so the upstairs, the alarms are being checked. That's high on our inspectors list. And so notification is the key. But if they don't replace it after 1 year, I mean, there's a whole bunch of things, or it could go off every time I cook and they take it down, right? So we just don't know. And to have it integrated, and they do it wirelessly, and they do some neat things now. Technology is advanced to that point that we really want to push ahead.
You know, as these conversations go forward, and this is something that affects this commission directly, I would like to have that conversation expanded to some of the local historic homes.
We would too.
You take a home like the one I live in,
Right.
the faster you get there, the better.
Well, and you have
Because
balloon
these houses
construction.
my house is 150 years old this year.
Right.
Many of these houses are tinder boxes, and with the construction, the balloon construction that was back in the day,
Right. Well, and Jerry Walker brought that point out during our meeting that, and I maybe even used your house as an example, and just so the commission understands, and maybe you all know what balloon construction is, but in the old days, and you can tell if you look at a house and the windows are skinny and stacked one above another, they just took the boards and nailed them side by side for the walls. So if you have a basement fire, and then they also had lath and plaster. So every one of those cavities, they really didn't insulate back then, every one of those wall cavities was a chimney. And we can't, it's hard to stop those.
right?
And then they get up on the roof and they're in the basement and they're everywhere in between. So when people remodel, we make them fire stop. Now we have platform construction. We build one floor tight, then we do the next floor on top. But back in the day, that wasn't a requirement. So as we remodel these homes, that's also a requirement. But there are homes like I'm sure George's that haven't, that aren't fire stopped.
Well, and it's very difficult to do that because the wall sits on the foundation.
Exactly.
And about the only way you would do it would be from the outside of the building. You'd have to literally take the siding off to stop all those spots.
Yeah, it's tough, and but no, Jerry did include that as part of our goal. Our first intent was to get the downtown, and they think that's a great idea
But
because
it would
there's
be nice
a
if
lot of
they
businesses.
developed a program, made it available for homeowners, and I would be interested at that point even to take it to insurance companies and see if that would give a reduction in insurance rates for homes that adopt that program.
We asked them about that, and they talked about that a little bit as well.
Okay, nope, that's wonderful.
So more to come on that,
Okay,
but we'll keep pushing.
that's good news.
Right.
Barb? Nothing for you? Okay, then we will call this meeting at 7:37. If you would pass that to her. That's Joe Mishler's resignation.